So, Shaka Hislop, the aim in this piece is not to reference the Beatles song Hey Jude, because we're talking about Jude Bellingham going to Real Madrid. Dortmund have confirmed that. If you want to get other Beatles songs in as a way of making people laugh, that's up to you, but you'll not hear that from me. Over 100 million, a 6-year deal for Jude Bellingham, and he's still a teenager, and he's off to the Spanish capital. What do you make of this? Real Madrid signing Jude Bellingham for 103 million plus add-ons.
First of all, I feel there's some kind of pressure to mention Beatles song here in some capacity. Pressure mark that I will resist.
That was yesterday, Shaka. That was yesterday.
Goodness me. I'm not gonna play along. I'm not.
Please don't.
Listen, Jude Bellingham is an incredible talent. 19 years old, as you mentioned, Mark. Give him everything we've seen of him at a Dortmund shirt. You understand the price. You understand Real Madrid's interest. Real Madrid are a club that, coming off the spell that they had, coming off winning 5 Champions League titles, with a midfield of Casemiro, Kroos, and Modric, and as long as those 3 have played together, you have to believe that that's the template for sustained success going forward. And now Real Madrid have Camavinga and Tchouaméni, and want one more piece to that puzzle that will last for quite some time, because let's be honest, those 3 are an incredibly talented trio themselves, young, and have already shown how good individual players they can be. Now, I don't mean to sit here and say that they're going to be as good as or better than the outgoing 3, but you totally understand the approach. You understand the approach. Now, time will tell if they can match that trio of Casemiro, Kroos, and Modric. But it makes perfect sense to me. And for the long term, given how young Jude Bellingham, Camavinga, and Tchouaméni all are, you have to be excited by this.
Oh, without a doubt. It's a frightening combination. But also, I think what it does is it showcases that this has probably been in the works for a while from Real Madrid, but it showcases their pulling power, doesn't it? Because I'm sure Man City, Liverpool, and other top clubs would have wanted him, but there's still something. If Real Madrid come calling, there's still something special about that, and probably there always will be.
There is, and certainly for the foreseeable future, while I'm talking about football, will always be something that you cannot deny about Real Madrid. Just the history of that club and everything it stands for. And we've been talking about it. We've been talking about it forever. I think so much about Real Madrid and why they are they seem to outlive so much of La Liga is a two-club league, and so much of it you saw last season, where even when Real Madrid were down and out, world football has to respect them. Even when you're 2 up in the 90th minute, world football has to respect them. And that's not about one game. That's not about one blown opportunity. That's about a history and a culture of a football club. And Real Madrid have that in bundles. Arguably, Real Madrid have that more than anybody else.
Is there one particular player at Real Madrid that you think Jude Bellingham will be the long-term replacement for, who's there right now? He's going to start, of course he is. He's a wonderful player. But has he been identified to replace one player in particular, or just to increase the quality and ability in an already stacked midfield there?
Yeah, the latter. I don't think he's been brought in to replace one person. I think Real Madrid's thinking all along was about a midfield 3. A midfield 3 that certainly 2 of them have been thrown in maybe a little bit quicker than they expected. Tchouaméni was supposed to be the replacement, albeit a very expensive replacement, for Casemiro. And then all of a sudden, Casemiro decides, I want a new challenge, which you have to respect. And Tchouameni got far more minutes, certainly than I expected. And I'll go so far as to say probably anybody at Real Madrid expected this early on. Camavinga has gotten more minutes than anybody expected because he's had to adjust and play at a left back, which, listen, I know Camavinga is not thrilled about playing left back, but my God, it shows how good a footballer he is. My word. It really shows the footballing brain, the footballing talent that he is. So I think, again, adding Jude Bellingham here is no surprise. I think this has been in the works for a very long time because Real Madrid were thinking long term, and albeit 2 out of the 3 have seen more minutes because of situations that they didn't anticipate, but it just shows how sensible that kind of long-term planning is. And it's paid dividends for them.
When you come that close to winning the Bundesliga for the first time in forever, you do it without Jude Bellingham on the final day. Would it have made a difference? Probably, but we'll never know. He was injured. So how did Dortmund
won it? Dortmund should have won.
Of course they should have won it, but I'm sure if Bellingham had started and played and wasn't hard, that they definitely would have won it. But again, we'll never know. He didn't play in the final game through injury. And now Dortmund, having come that close, have a lot more money in the bank, but they have to deal and cope without one of their best, if not their best player, to try and catch Bayern next season. So how do they win a Bundesliga without Bellingham if they couldn't win one with Bellingham?
Here's the issue. It's not just about the money for Borussia Dortmund. It's not just about the loss of Jude Bellingham. It's you lost that title on the last day of the season in what I feel has been the worst version of Bayern Munich I've seen for the last 10 or 12 years. So you don't expect Bayern Munich to be anywhere near as bad. So not only are you trying to replace one of your brightest stars, yes, you've got some money in the bank and in trying to do that, but as we sit right now, I don't expect, as I say, Bayern to be as bad as they were last season. And the bigger question is, how much better will they be? There's going to be changes well, I'm not sure if to say backroom or higher up at board level, but you know what I mean. And there will be extensive changes at player level. Bayern are going to be different. That means Dortmund will be playing an even bigger catch-up game in trying to leapfrog Bayern Munich at the top of the Bundesliga table.
Final question, with a transfer fee in the region of about 103 million euros, plus add-ons that could equate to another 30% of that, it's a lot of money. And this might sound really silly to say out loud, like a lot of things that I say, but I'm going to say it anyway. Could this end up being a bargain? Could it be a bargain for Real Madrid in the long run, that they're getting one of the best young players in the world and they're only spending 23 million more than Man United paid for Harry Maguire?
Absolutely. Listen, you're absolutely right. There's so much about this that's an inexact science. But right now, 100 million, 130 million for a player like Jude Bellingham is good business. Given the market, given the speculation around defensive midfield, for some reason Declan Rice comes to mind. If Declan Rice is being quoted at 100 million, Jude Bellingham is worth that quite easily. And that's just the market for defensive midfielders of that quality right now. So you may criticize the price, you may want to criticize, I don't know, you may want to criticize the buying club or the player or whatever you want to do. But the market is the market. And 100 million for Jude Bellingham is good business.
Gonna have to change that song to Hola Jude instead of Hey Jude when he
me.
completes his move, huh?
That was the worst attempt at a Beatles, whatever it is you've been trying to attempt, I think I've ever heard in my life, Mark.
Well, I'm just going to end it here right now. Goodbye.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.